Hello, so today I'm going to be showing you all a U-part wig that I made with my B. Jolie collection hair. I'll also link the video when I did my initial unboxing of this hair. This is a local company in Houston, Texas, and this is with her 4 bundles of her Amour Indian collection. 2 22 inches and 2 24-inch bundles. So in this video, I'm going to dye both bundles black, jet black, because I love jet black hair. So I'll show you all the process of doing that, the dyeing. Then I'll show you all how I create my U-part wig. And then I'll show you guys me cutting, styling, and then once I install my U-part wig, okay? So first off, I'm using the Cream of Nature hair dye, permanent hair dye in jet black. So I'm going to go ahead and start off applying my gloves. I always want to ensure that I use gloves because I do wear artificial nails. And if not, it will stain your nails and they'll pretty much be ruined. You'll have to go ahead and get another set at that point. So you do want to ensure that you apply gloves and that your nails and your hands are protected during the process. Okay, ladies, so basically this is the dye that I'm going to be using. Basically, you're just going to take the dye out of the box and you're going to put the dye into the developer. Something that I did wrong, though, is once you put the dye into the box, you want to ensure to cut the nozzle first, because once you apply that nozzle back on with those chemicals in there, you risk for that bottle to rupture or to burst due to those chemicals mixing. So the very first thing I should have done at this point prior was go ahead and cut the nozzle, because it's a very good chance that top could have just burst off and I would have had dye all over my kitchen. So that, as we know, would not have been good. Okay, so now you see I'm going to finally do what I was supposed to initially do, which is cut the nozzle open to allow for the gas and the chemicals to escape during the mixing process. So I'm just mixing my dye, mixing, and now I'm getting ready to start applying the dye directly to the hair, okay? Make sure you mix it up really, really well so that dye can be evenly distributed throughout the bottle, okay? Just mix it up really, 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 really good, okay? So now I'm going ahead and I'm applying it thoroughly from the top of the webs all the way down. You want to ensure that you're really running your fingers through the hair, because if not, especially maybe if you have like the 613 bundles, which are the blonde bundles, you really want to make sure you're separating the hair thoroughly when you're attempting to dye it. Or you will still have areas that are like that natural brown or black color if you don't really go in there and separate with your fingers. I really try not to manipulate hair or weave with combs or brushes once there's, some type of chemical product on them. So I really just worked the product through with my fingers and ensure to just really get all the dye through and get the bundles fully saturated. I also did not wash the bundles prior, because in my experience, dye typically takes better on dry hair than freshly washed hair. So again, I'm just going through adding the color to the bundles, and then I'm going to set those to the side. Okay, so now I allowed that to sit for, I want to say, about 45 minutes. The box says 30, but since it's, the virgin bundles, I went ahead and allowed it to sit for about 45 minutes, maybe 45 to 55 minutes. And then I came through and I'm washing it out with some clarifying shampoo. Anytime I use any type of chemical product on my hair or any type of bundles, I always want to go in with a clarifying shampoo just to really get the hair nice and clean and ensure that we have all the chemicals removed from the hair or the bundles. Okay, so here is just a picture of the clarifying shampoo I use, which is the apple cider and vinegar clarifying shampoo. It's the apple cider and vinegar clarifying shampoo. And I just wanted to ensure that I had gotten the bundles very clean at this point. Initially, I went ahead and washed out all of the dye, and now I'm just going in ensuring that I don't have any product left on any of the bundles. And that's going to be a very important step because you won't have nice, healthy, luxurious curls with product buildup on your bundles. Okay, so at this point, all I'm doing now is just adding the conditioner that came with the in the box of the dye. I'm just adding the conditioner, and I usually will allow the conditioner, if I'm not a rush or I don't have an appointment, I'll usually allow the conditioner to kind of sit in the hair overnight or at least for a few hours before I go ahead and rinse out the conditioner. So I did go ahead and add that conditioner. I ran out the actual conditioner that came in the package with the dye was not quite enough. So I actually ran out, and so I went ahead and used the apple cider vinegar moisturizing conditioner with to continue with it. Okay, so I am all done. Now what I'm doing is I am showing you the wig cap that I'm going to be using. I actually got these off of Amazon, okay? So the first thing I'm going to be doing is I am going to be taking a white eyebrow pencil and I'm going to be tracing lines on the wig cap, how far I want my tracks to be apart. I used to be one of those gals that prefers to double all of her tracks. But I've made a few U-part wigs, and now I notice that when I double them, I have to either do the parts a little closer together, or when I do double them, when I get closer to the end where I'm going to be sewing down on the edge of the cap, that I have to not bring both tracks to the edge of the cap. If not, it'll be bulky underneath my natural hair. So again, I'm trying to keep about a half an inch, and I'm just eyeballing, and half an inch between each of the lines on the cap, okay? About a half an inch to pretty much ensure that I have enough space, and I want to get all 4 bundles. I like a full head of hair, okay? So I want to get all 4 bundles in, okay? So I want to just go ahead and allow you to see the process of me lining the cap. Okay, so as you can see, I've gotten up closer to the top. Once I get to the top, then I kind of start curving in almost like a U-shaped pattern to go around the U of where the U part is sits on the actual wig, the wig cap. Okay, I do start to kind of curve and cut off because if not, it'll be too heavy on the sides. Your weave will be too heavy on the sides, and you won't have a natural look and sew in. I always want my U parts to kind of look like almost as if, I have a sew in. I don't want you to know I have a U part or any type of wig or pre-made style. Okay, I want it to always look like a sew in or some form of a install. So here's a nice view of my wig cap and my lines. So let's get started sewing, ladies. Okay, so as you can see, I went ahead and I applied the stick pins on both sides of the track. So you lay your track on your first line, put your stick pin so you'll know just beneath the track so you'll know where you want to start sewing. Okay, and then you want to put one on the outside of the track and one directly in the middle so your track isn't drooping. And then you start sewing. You might want, if you're not familiar with sewing techniques, I'm not the best when it comes to my sewing technique. I would just suggest you watch a beginner video showing you guys how to sew, how to thread your needle, and how to really be able to develop a really good sewing pattern. So I typically go under, up, and then through, loop. Okay, so I'll show again. Or sometimes I'll go over and under and then I'll loop. And I always want to make sure my tracks are nice and straight and that they're combed out and that is no tangling in my wefts. Okay, so as you can see, I'm going under and I pull through. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and remove that stick pin that I had in the middle that was holding the track in place. And as I go down and I move down, then I'll remove those pins, okay? So just go ahead and watch this process as I go ahead and I sew that first track. Okay, now as you can see, I'm on to the second track. All I do when I get to the second track is I just fold over. I see a little person in the background. But yeah, I just continue to fold over and I continue to sew. Alrighty, as you can see, this is just a continuation of the sewing process. As you get to the ends, you want to fold over and sew, fold over and sew. Try not to go all the way to the end of the cap because then you have a bulkier cap and you really don't have much space to sew it down to your tracks. Okay? Also, again, like I told you, I did want to fit 4 full bundles on the cap. I do prefer a very full install. So when I would get towards the end, what I would do is I would take the track that's underneath, so that one, but I would stop the second track. And then I would fold the second track and I would take the one that I took all the way to the end, fold that one over, then let the second track meet. And all that does is allow for a nice flat install. And I'll show you how it looks at the end when we get ready to install. And as you can see, this is just the top of the cap. I have a few more lines that I want to go ahead and sew. And now what I'm doing is I'm just closing up the top portion of my U-part wig. I'm not sure if you can quite tell, but the middle part is held together by a very thin flesh colored lace in the middle. It's a very thin flesh colored lace, and toward the end I go ahead and cut that once I get ready to do my install. Okay, so now again all I'm doing is just sewing that the second to last track on the top part of the U-part wig. Yeah, I don't know what it is. Okay, I have pretty much finished up. Now I believe I'm going to go ahead and be completed, and I'm going to cut that middle portion out the inside. As you can see, the lace is still intact, but that is to be removed. That is where your leave out is going to lay. So here is the finished U-part wig. I think I did a pretty good job, and the hair is actually very beautiful. Okay, and this again is 4 bundles of the Indian Amour. Okay, so I went ahead and blew out my hair. What I'm going to do now is I am going to prep my hair, which is a really easy process for the installation of the U-part wig. I always try to go in and I try to trim my ends. So I did do some of that off camera, and I was just kind of finishing up a few portions of my hair. Okay, so I like a curved part. It really doesn't matter if how your U part is shaped, if you want to do a curved part or a straight part, but I prefer a curved part because I have a smaller forehead, so I prefer for my hair to kind of flow away from my face. So I always do a nice curved part. What I'm doing right now is just adding a little bit of wax. This is not the wax. I like the Mazzani wax, but I could not find that wax stick anywhere, because once you place that wax stick and then you attempt to go in and part, you get perfect parting and a perfect flat iron, and it will look as if I had a perm. And I am natural. This is how my hair looks after it is blow dried. Okay, so all I'm doing now is I'm going in and I'm fixing my part. Again, I am going to want a curved part. Okay. Okay, so as you can see, I am parting out my part now and my leave out. I'm pulling my leave out, the amount of hair I'm going to be leaving out for my edges and directly in the middle of my leave out. As I always say, I like a nice amount of leave out because I like a full sew-in look, or full look of a full install, but I do like it to look as natural as possible. I never do closures or frontals, so I do like to leave a nice amount of my hair out, not too much, because it is August currently, and as soon as I go outside, the humidity is like none other here in Texas. So I do try to not leave too much hair out to where I'm going to have an afro, but I do like to leave a nice amount of hair out. Okay, so all I'm doing now is, I'm not the best braider with my nails on. I'm much better when I don't have artificial nails on. But now all I'm doing is just braiding my leave out. As you can see, I'm just going through braiding my leave out. And I do want the smaller side of my head, my sew-in, to be kind of tucked behind my ear. So that's why I left a little more hair out in that area. I'm also gonna go through with some of my hair oil to massage my scalp. Sometimes I do have a lot of issues with itching, but since I found that oil, it really helps. It really helps, so I really like it. For those of you all that do have issues like with itching and things like that, I would suggest, you can also make your own oils with tea tree, lavender, eucalyptus, chamomile, all those different kind of essential oils. And you can get all of that on Amazon. So you can always make your own oils. And you can also YouTube how to make those oils as well. Okay, so now I'm going in and I'm just braiding the inside portion. This is where my cap is going to be sewn to. This is where my cap is going to be sewn to, okay? Perfect. So you guys can just watch that process, and I'll go through that pretty quickly. Okay, so I'm using some Afro Sheen brand hair protectant, heat protectant. And I just pretty much sprayed the hair with that prior to blow drying. This is like a natural wave collection. If you remember my initial unboxing, which I will link below, it is like almost like a natural wave collection, but it is so thick, you guys, and it is so pretty. I really love this hair. Next time I purchase some hair from BioSilk, I'll probably actually just do 3 bundles for a more natural look. But overall, I really love this hair. It is so pretty. So what I'm doing now again is just blow drying the hair, trying to get some of the wave out prior to flat ironing it. Now I'm going to use a little bit of my Design Essentials BioSilk, and I just put a little bit, maybe a dime size, in the palm of my hands. As you know, with BioSilk, a little / tiny bit goes a very long way. And now you can really see that natural sheen in the hair coming out. And again, I'm just going through blow drying, trying to release some of that natural wave pattern that is in the hair. Since I've done that, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to go ahead and go in, and I'm going to straighten the hair. I want to further release some of that wave prior to me cutting and styling. So that's all I did at that point, was go ahead and I went in and flat iron. I didn't flat iron for a bone straight look, just to release some of the wave prior to me cutting. I always go in and I try to cut my bang first, and I don't cut super short initially, because my motto is always, I always can go up, I always can go shorter, but once I make those big chops or I cut too short, it's no more gluing that hair back onto the tips of that hair. So I try to be really careful when I'm cutting, not to start too high up. So the way that I typically attempt to layer hair is I go ahead, I part, and then I bring it out at an angle, and then I usually will cut down. When you grab hair, go ahead and grab some from the previous section that you cut, so that you can ensure you're cutting it at the right length, and then do that going all the way across the hair. That way you can ensure you're not having choppy layers or layers that are longer in a specific section than the other. Always pick up or grab some hair from the previous section, so it kind of will serve as your guide as to where to cut on the next section. That's something I learned when I was in cosmetology school. See, I probably didn't know. I did go to cosmetology school when I was in high school, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. I just didn't continue to get my license once I graduated. I was going to be already with Jesus. Oh, what happened? She's got followed with her oncologist. She finished treatment. So I'm just saying, I hope when she do all her testing that, the cancer's gone. Because it was stage 3, So, go ahead and heal with them, Some people just go through so much. And it seems like some people have it so easy. Why does it seem like that? Some people have help, some people are mentally disturbed, What are you talking about, mentally disturbed? Okay, as you all remember, I said you can always go in and go shorter, but you cannot go longer. So again, right here, that's all I'm doing is just kind of going in, cutting my bang a little shorter to where I like it. And that's all I'm doing at this moment is just going back in with some of my layers and cutting them a little bit shorter so I can have a nice defined bang, but I don't like a super short bang. I like a long bang, especially when I'm doing long hair. Remember, this hair is two 22-inch bundles and two 24-inch. So my shortest bundles are 22 inches and my longest are at 24. So I definitely do not want a short bang. So what I've done now is I've went in with my curling iron, my 1-inch curling iron. It's just a regular curling iron. I actually think I got this from like TJ Maxx or Marshall's. Nothing special. I really want to invest in a T-file so bad, y'all. One of my friends has one and I really would like to. She's a hairstylist and she swears by it. But I really would like to invest in one. But I'm just going in and doing some barrel curls in the direction that I want my curls to lay. And then I'm going to go ahead and pin those with my duckbill clips, my 2-prong clips, my apologies, in place after I go ahead and curl them. And the reason that I do that is basically so that, you know, the heat doesn't weigh the hair down and it doesn't immediately fall while I'm attempting to curl the rest of the head. Okay, and so now what I'm going to do is just go through and curl the entire head. Okay, so you saw me in my attempts to braid my hair with these long nails earlier. So I went ahead, cut out that mesh part that was holding the cap together. And now all I'm going to do now is just fit it around my braids, where my leave out is, around my leave out. And I am going to start sewing, okay? As you can see, my clips are coming down. Remember, this was a lot of hair that was on this cap. This is a lot of hair. It is 4 bundles, so it's pretty heavy. So my clips did start, some of my hair did start to come down. I could have been a lot neater with my curls and my clips, but at that point, I was just like, get it done, okay? But as you can see, some of my clips and my curls are coming out. But I just go ahead and I start sewing right at the tip of that first braid, sewing my cap down. And I'm just gonna sew all around my cap. I do, as I sew, like to do a knot just in case a portion of the thread breaks, then I'm not at risk for my whole wig to start slipping or come off. So I do like to sew and then create a knot as I sew, especially when I'm sewing a U-part wig around the perimeter of my hair. So that's all I'm doing now, is just taking my needle and thread and going around the perimeter of the wig to sew it directly to my head. All right, so I went ahead, I flat ironed my leave out off camera, and now I am attempting to blend my leave out. I remember I told you guys I love a very natural looking sew-in, so I'm adding a little bit of BioSilk, and then I'm gonna add some Got To Be. I'm not an edge control girl. For those of y'all that know me or watch my videos, I'm not an edge control girl. I really prefer a more natural sew-in type of look, okay? So I'm just adding some leave out. It is very humid here in Houston. But what do you guys think? I really love it. I feel like it came out really pretty. This is me heading to an event. I started